Alright, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to my contest prep series. Today, I'm going to take you guys through my post-show reflection. So I just competed in my very first natural bodybuilding show. It was an absolute blast, and today I'm going to take you guys through how the show went, what the experience was like, if I recommend you guys to compete in a show, if prep has been like the worst thing in the world, or if it's been kind of manageable. So I'm going to talk about all that kind of stuff in this video. I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. As you can tell, this is my show day shirt. I decided to get it in this cool bluish color because I have enough black shirts and I didn't want a gray one. So this is the color we went with. It was the Rock Solid Show Me State Classic through the USBF. That was the federation I competed in, and it was on September 3rd. So overall, this prep took me a grand total of 15 weeks. It honestly wasn't that bad. I, didn't really suffer that much during prep. Kind of the way my prep went, if you guys haven't been following along with my prep series, but I recommend you go check out the other videos so you can get a much more in-depth view as to how my prep went, what exactly I did to get shredded to look like this, and get filled in on a ton more details that you guys can apply to your own training and diet. But basically what I did for this prep was I didn't do any cardio at all. All I did was had a step count, and I ate pretty much the same amount of calories throughout my entire prep. I was prepping on about 2,500 calories, which ended up allowing me to lose about 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds a week even, and it all went super well. Honestly, I couldn't have had it gone more smoothly. Besides peak week, I kind of fucked up during peak week. So kind of the way peak week goes, or at least the way that Sam and I did it, was the first few days were depletion days. So I was trying to deplete the glycogen that my body was storing. And during those depletion days, I was also having like very high fats in order to fill up my intramuscular triglyceride stores, because the goal of a peak week is to look as good as possible on that one singular day, which is show day. So to bring up my fats, I decided to start implementing some different fat sources, and I decided to implement avocados. Avocados have been something that I've not had in my diet at all recently, and I've never really been a fan of avocados. But I decided to implement them into my diet for whatever reason. I just thought it would be a good idea because they're like healthy fats, they're a pretty good thing to eat. And they ended up making me like super bloated. I think I was entirely allergic to them. I felt sick to my stomach for like the entire day. I ate them at like 7 in the morning, and then until like 4:30 p.m. after I'd like taken some Zofran and like some Benadryl and stuff like that, and I took a nap. Like, it destroyed me, dude. I never take naps, but that was a terrible idea. So if anybody is going through a contest prep or in a fat loss phase or anything like that, especially during a peak week, do not implement foods that you have not been eating throughout prep. It is a bad idea. But anyways, now that I went on a super long tangent there, this prep was about 15 weeks long. And like I said, it really wasn't that bad. I did not suffer. A lot of people at the show I was talking to were like, dude, like prep sucks so bad. Like I was on the Stairmaster for 2 hours a day. I've been eating sub 2,000 calories, etc., etc. But for me, like it honestly went really smoothly and I could not complain. The only things I suffered from, of course, if you guys haven't seen my last video, is low testosterone. My testosterone crashed. So I've had like no libido throughout prep, but I mean, that's kind of to be expected being on such low calories, and that stuff will all come back after prep when I'm back on normal food, when I'm back up to a normal body fat, etc. So the next thing I wanted to talk about were what were my intentions with this show. So this show was not a show Sam and I initially planned for. This was a show that we actually decided to do about like 3 or 4 weeks out. Like this is something that he brought up to me. This is a show that he was actually thinking about doing, but he brought it up to me saying that it would be a good idea to just do a warm-up show. And because I'm prepping, it would be a good idea to just run multiple shows. I'm not going to be at this sort of stage leanness very often throughout my career, especially because the muscle is actually built in an off season. So I'm going to be in a calorie surplus for the vast majority of my training career. So he emphasized how important it was to, really get my feet in the water during these times that I'm super, super lean. So we ended up deciding to do this show. Sam was actually a little bit worried that I wouldn't be lean enough for this show, but I ended up being lean enough, and I am very, very happy with the package that I brought to stage. And I, of course, could not thank Sam enough for the help that he provided me throughout this entire prep process. If you guys don't follow him, follow him. His handle is right here for Instagram, and his links are in the description down below. But my overall intentions with this show were to simply get my feet in the water, do a little bit of a warm-up show, and fuck up on this first show instead of waiting to my second show, which is September 24th, where I'm gonna have a bunch of family down here, a bunch of friends are gonna be attending, etc. And at that show, I'll know how everything goes. I have gone through a peak week. I fucked up on peak week. I fucked up on stage day. I quarter turned to the left one time. If you guys don't know, you're supposed to quarter turn to the right every time, but I quarter turned to the left, which was fantastic. And we also have to wear like number buttons on the front and back of our suits. And midway through the comparisons, my button on the back of my suit fell off. So yeah, it was not a flawless show by any means, but it all went pretty good besides that. But I fucked up as many times as I needed to in order to not do that at my next show. So it definitely functioned really well as a warm-up show. And before I get into how I placed at this show, how was the actual show experience? Honestly, the show experience was fantastic. The people I met were awesome. I met a lot of really cool dudes that were super competitive. They had super impressive physiques. Showtime Keith was the guy that actually won men's physique, and there were a bunch of really good natural bodybuilders there. So I saw Mishak, who, if you guys don't follow him, holy fuck. He was the biggest natural bodybuilder I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I see Sam and I'm blown away by Sam. But then Mishak was there. He's a really short dude, but he is massive. Like, it doesn't even make sense how the dude's natural. I'm sure he gets tons of people that are like, dude, you're not natural, quit fucking lying, whatever. But him and a bunch of the other people that I saw that were competing in pro bodybuilding, like, that was very impressive. And while I'm trying to become a pro bodybuilder, it's gonna take a long time for me to become competitive as a pro. But I know I have a very long time ahead of me. It was just a fantastic time being on stage. When I got off stage for the first time after doing comparisons, I was just on top of the world. I felt like I was on crack. Like, that was so much fun. I had a great time doing the posing routine as well. People were all so supportive, and everybody there was like very down to earth and just very cool. Like, it was such a great experience, and I really could not recommend doing a show to any of you out there that are very dedicated to fitness. I think doing a competitive bodybuilding show is super cool, not only because it actually makes you a bodybuilder, not just an Instagram lifter or whatever you want to call them, but it actually shows you what the whole process of bodybuilding actually is. Like, the off season is obviously a huge part of bodybuilding, and I'd argue it's like 90% of it. But being on stage is a super great experience, and I really recommend it to you guys if you guys have not competed yet. And then, of course, I wanted to run through how I actually did at the show. So we have 2 medals here. Right here, this is the first place in men's novice bodybuilding. So I competed in the novice class and I competed in the open bodybuilding class. I ended up really enjoying bodybuilding. I don't think I'm gonna do classic physique for my next show. I'm gonna talk about all that in a little bit, what my agenda is for my next show. But yeah, this was the first place in men's novice bodybuilding. Super pumped about that. It felt really fucking good to win. And then right here, we have a second place in men's open bodybuilding. So I ended up placing second in open bodybuilding, which I was over the moon about. Like, I didn't even think I would be anywhere near getting first place in novice bodybuilding or even open bodybuilding. Like, I had no idea how I compared to other people in general. So getting this placing at the show was unreal. Like, I was over the moon about this. The guy that beat me was just bigger than me. He had probably like a good 20 pounds of muscle mass on me. On stage, I was like 167 pounds, so I'm not a huge dude. I was very conditioned and I had really good symmetry. My posing was okay. I'm gonna improve my posing for next time. But compared to the other guys, I was definitely more conditioned and I was leaner than them. So that's definitely something I'm really proud of. But I definitely have a ways to go as far as muscle mass goes in order to really be competitive, whether that be in open bodybuilding or whether that be as a pro, especially as a pro. Well, great. There, my badge fell off, just like it did on show day. Immediately, I was a little bit sad that I didn't get first place in open bodybuilding. I kind of thought that I was going to get first place because at some point during the open bodybuilding comparisons, I got moved to the middle. And when I got moved to the middle, I was like, holy fuck, holy fuck, holy fuck. Am I gonna win this? Like, that would be insane. I just didn't even know what to think. Like, I was just totally blacked out on stage, like just posing as hard as I could. And I thought that I had a really good chance of actually winning. I know I'm gonna be getting like some judges' feedback back soon. So I'm able to see exactly how close I was to winning. But I ended up placing second. Immediately I was a little bit disappointed, but after like a little bit, I realized that like I'm super happy with how I placed. I didn't even know how I was going to compare to other people. For some reason, when I got to the show and when I was there backstage, I felt like insane imposter syndrome. I just felt like I shouldn't be there. I wasn't big enough. I wasn't lean enough, whatever. But I really felt like I should have been there, and I ended up placing second in open bodybuilding, and I was very, very happy with those results. And lastly, what are my intentions for my next show? So the next show is going to be on September 24th. It is the NANBF St. Louis Gateway Natural Show. That is one where I can turn pro and become an IPE pro bodybuilder. So that is another federation in natural bodybuilding. Unfortunately, I have to pay for another membership. So I think I'm just gonna be doing bodybuilding at this next show. I'm not entirely comfortable with the classic physique poses yet, but I'm very comfortable with the bodybuilding poses, especially since I practiced those a lot for this past show, and because, you know, I competed in bodybuilding at this first show. So plan is I'll probably compete in novice bodybuilding and also open bodybuilding, and hopefully I will win my pro card at this next show. I think that would be a really, really cool thing, because then I would essentially be able to go into my off season, and then by the time I come out, as you know, Captain America, after he comes out of that like transformation chamber, then I might be competitive against the other pros. But I have a lot of progress to make before then. So even if I don't turn pro, I will be in a very long extended off season where I'll have like mini cuts, I'll be massing for a super long time. And by the time I come out, I'll compete in a show, turn pro, and then be competitive against pro bodybuilders. At least that is the plan. So that's the agenda for the show. I'm really excited for it. I really feel like I belong here in bodybuilding. And I really hope that you guys have been enjoying this contest prep series. If you guys have any questions about how my prep went, how my peak week went, I can totally go into more details about that. I wanted to keep this one a little bit shorter to just talk about my reflections of this show. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. I do have a very big announcement to talk about in next week's video. If you guys aren't following along with my community posts, you guys will see that in the community posts. And definitely make sure to follow my Instagram for stage shots. And if you guys want to see the rest of my stage shots, I definitely recommend you follow me over on Instagram and TikTok as well. Just follow me on all the platforms. You guys know how it is. And I'll catch you guys all next time. Peace.